is going on YouTube? It's been a couple weeks since we've talked to you guys. I'm sure you guys have noticed we've posted a couple shorts, getting into the new thing with the shorts. We've got one that's done really well. I want to appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. It's got like 2,600 views or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's gotten up there for us. Like, that feels like a
like
lot.
a million views to us.
So that's exciting.
Thank you guys so much for that. But I'm Brian.
I'm Hannah.
We're B&H Reptiles.
And in today's video, we are going to be showing you guys how we personally choose prey size for our ball pythons. We know some people sometimes have questions about it, especially when you're just getting started. It's kind of hard and confusing to figure out what you're supposed to feed your snake. So we just wanted to show you guys how we decide what to feed to which snake, and we hope it helps you a lot.
Yeah, so sit back, relax, put your feet up, and enjoy the show. Alright guys, so like Hannah was saying in the beginning of the video, today is about prey size, choosing the right prey size for your ball pythons. We're in a couple different ball python groups, and we've noticed a lot of the questions that a lot of people ask is, what size prey should I be feeding to my snake? So we're going to do a couple different size snakes for you guys, just so that way you get a variety of size of prey and size of animal. So we're going to start with Jafar, because he is our smallest ball python, which, you know, he is our fire calico. So when you have your ball python and you're choosing your prey size, you're going by the thickest part of the snake. That's where you want to look at. That's where you want to judge your prey size off of, which is going to be down in this middle third of their body. So basically, for beginners, if you want to judge off of their prey size, you will, usually people can say you can weigh your prey, and you want to be anywhere between 10 to 15% of your snake's body weight. Well, if you're not too sure also on body weight, and if you don't trust yourself or trust your math on how to do it, you can also take your prey and you can put it on your snake, and you can see if it is about the same thickness or just as thick as the snake. So as you can see, this rat pup, is about the same size as Jafar is when it lays in there, and that's exactly how it'll lay inside of his belly, just like that. Now, if we were to take a winged rat, which is the next size up from a pup. Now you have different size pups, they can weigh, you know, a few different weights. And we were to take this winged rat, and lay it on there. Now that, I would think, is a little too big for Jafar. And he weighs 191 grams last month when we weighed him. So to me, at this weight, about 200 grams, I think winged is just a little too big for me personally. We at B&H Reptiles, we wait till they get to about 250, 300 grams before we start feeding them a lighter weighted winged rat. Just so that way it's not as big as what those ones were, but it's bigger than a pup, and it gives them more calories in their belly, and it gives them more of a lump. You want to see a little lump inside of their stomach when they swallow that prey and it gets down into their stomach. You want to see a lump in their belly of that prey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another snake, one that's a little bit bigger than Jafar here, and show you what that one looks like. Okay, so one thing I do want to add, when you have a hatchling like Jafar here, he's not much of a hatchling anymore because, you know, he's 200 grams. But when you're feeding him pups, the way we do it is when you're feeding your younger ball pythons, your hatchlings, or even up to 400 grams or 300 grams, we feed every 4 to 5 days. So we feed Jafar and our other smaller snakes 1 pup every 4 to 5 days. And that basically gives them more meals to grow. It gets them growing better. It gives them a lot of calories to burn, and it really helps their growing process. It really gets them going. And we notice that even if you have a bigger snake, you notice that if you feed them every 7 days, probably like on day 5 or 6, you'll start noticing them roaming the tank more, looking for food. So especially with these hatchlings, to get them a good baseline, a good, fat deposits in their tail, you want to feed them more often just to help them grow better and get them solid.
And also, with that being said about them like roaming for food, snakes are opportunistic eaters. So you don't want to overfeed if it looks like they're looking for food, because if you're feeding another snake and they sense that there's a rat, they're going to start looking for it.
Right. So when we have all of ours in the same room. So Jafar and Pongo, they're both on the same level of the rack. So when I'm feeding Jafar his rat, Tantor gets moving around his tub because he can smell the rat in the room. So don't take that also as, oh, maybe
he's
my
hungry.
Other snake's hungry. It's just because he senses it, he smells it, and he's just taking the opportunity to want to eat again, even though you don't need to, because if you overfeed a snake, that can also hurt them. It can cause them to prolapse. It can cause just a lot of health issues. All right, guys, so here we have Dodger, which is our spinner blast ball python, and she is about 490 grams, and that was last month when we weighed her. So I'm sure she's grown a little bit more. So as you can see how she's spread out on the table here a little bit, you can definitely tell she's got a lot more size to her than Jafar does. So feeding her pups, it's not going to do much for her. If I take a pup here and I put it up next to her, you can tell that pup, she is, that pup isn't going to do much inside that belly. It's just going to hide in there. So it's kind of pointless to feed a ball python this size of pup. You would have to do 2 of them to get the same effect as 1 weaned rat would do. So we take our weaned rat, you lay it up on top of her. Now you don't see the sides of the ball python as much. So this rodent, this rat, will go inside, it'll sit in her belly, and it'll give her just enough of a lump. These ones aren't that big, but they're a good size. They give her enough food. We feed her every 7 days. So this size ball python, 491 grams, 500 grams, a good thick weaned rat will do them perfect.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about Tantor, and he is our male pastel disco or disco pastel. Last time we weighed him, which was about a month ago, was 808 grams. He is one of our snakes that will only seem to eat live rats. So with him, we feed him a live weaned rat every week, once a week. And the reason we feed him weaned is because we're using him to breed, and once males get to a certain weight, they become kind of lazy and they don't really care to breed. So we just want to make sure he doesn't get to that point, but still make sure he's getting a good meal that's going to fill him up. Some snakes, they won't eat frozen thawed, and he is one of them. We have, I think, 5 snakes that we feed live, and then the other 5 we feed frozen thawed. Sometimes they're picky like that. You can really work and try to see if you can switch over to frozen thawed, which we have tried for a couple of ours that like to eat live, and they still would not take frozen thawed. For example, you could take a snake that only eats live, give it like an extra week of not eating if it's not going to take the frozen thawed, and that way they're extra hungry and they might be more enticed to try to eat a frozen thawed rat. And you just want to make sure you also like warm them up really well. Make sure they're really heated up so that way they can really sense the heat from the rat, because if they don't think it's alive, they're probably not going to eat it. And the heat, lets them know that there's something live there for them to eat. So like I said, some snakes just won't, or care not to take frozen thawed rats, and for us that's not a problem. We don't mind feeding live rats. And then there's also other snakes that might not eat a live rat. It just it really depends on the snake itself. And if you are trying to switch your snake over to eat frozen thawed rats, the biggest piece of advice that I can give you is just to be patient. They will not almost always, but a lot of the time they will switch, and it just takes some patience and it takes some getting used to on their side. So just, take time and work with them and just get them to where you want them to be.
And don't freak out if they go 3 weeks without eating, 4 weeks without eating. A friend of ours just had a snake finally eat after 14 months.
Yeah.
So
Shout out to Niveal Exotics.
Right. So they'll eat. Just be patient.
But for Tantor, we feed him live weaned. And he does really great with that. He's gained weight awesome. Next week, we'll have our collection update, so y'all will be able to see how much everybody's really gained. But yeah, that's what we do.
Okay, so another thing that I want to add real quick for any of you future breeders or new breeders, when you have a hatchling ball python that's right out of the egg, it's just got done its first shed, you've gone about 4 to 5, 6 days after it's shed, and you're about to offer its first meal. If you have a smaller ball python and you're thinking, I would not feed it. Your first meal, you don't start with a rat pup. I would start with maybe a rat fuzzy, depending on the size of the ball python. If it's a bigger hatchling, I'm sure a rat fuzzy will be just fine. But if it's a little on the smaller side of a hatchling, I recommend starting with a mouse hopper, something that's got a little smaller head on it, but still has fur. The fur is what helps hold the heat in, and it's good for the snake as well. But sometimes what happens is the first meal is the most important meal for the ball python. It's what gives it confidence when going to eat. Everybody wants a great eating snake. Nobody wants a snake that is hard of eating, doesn't like to eat, scared of its meals all the time. And sometimes that happens by offering too large of a meal, and it scares the snake. Like if the head of the rodent is too big, it can actually scare the snake and intimidate it. And from that point on, it'll make the snake, scared of every meal, and you'll just end up with a snake that's got an eating problem. They'll skip meals. They won't eat. So sometimes it's best just to start your first few meals with a small meal. Do 3 or 4 or 5 meals that are a small meal, maybe a mouse hopper or something like that. And then work your way up to the rat pups and stuff after a few meals. Get your snake, get the baby, get it some confidence. Get some confidence under its belt. And I can guarantee you won't have a problem feeding after that. All right, so real quick, just want to make this a real quick point. This is Fawn. She is our orange dream female, and she is breeding. It's kind of hard to show you guys the difference in food size because she is another one of the snakes that eats live. But with her, she is 1,400, a little over 1,400 grams, almost 1,500 grams. She eats, we feed her a medium rat every 7 days. But now that she is breeding and we want to get the follicle growth and we want to get the follicles growing, if we notice, we feed on Sundays, so if we notice a couple days after feeding or in the middle of the week that if she's roaming her tank looking for food, we'll offer food twice a week to her, just because it's getting that follicle growth. She's basically looking to see if there's enough food in the area to ensure that her babies will survive the wild. So it's not a bad thing to offer breeding females food multiple times a week, and you want to give them a little bit bigger food than what you normally give them. But with ball pythons, even big female ball pythons like her and our other ball python Nira, I wouldn't go anything over a medium rat. Anything over medium is just, I think, to me, too much. Large, I think, is too much. Medium rats do them perfectly fine. And like I said, we give her 2 a week, especially because she's breeding. And you can tell she's got some good size to her. She's long. She's not skinny. She's got some good size to her. And now she's done wrapped herself around. But yeah, if I were to try and show you guys live food, like the size of food with her because she eats live, if I get one of them out, she'll probably end up taking my hand off. So it's just easier if I just explain it. But we, like I said, we use a medium wrap for her.
Well, we hope you guys got something good out of that video. We hope you might have learned something new.
So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Like,
comment,
and subscribe. And hit that
the
notification bell. Also, if you guys are not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you can click the button over here to subscribe to this channel. And then if you want to watch one of our most recent videos, just click the button over here. And that'll take you over to one of our most recent videos. All right, guys, have a good rest of your week.